The city glows like a digital mirage, and amid the neon brilliance, a solitary man emerges, a quiet presence against the pulsating urban backdrop. At first glance, he appears to be just another lost soul in the crowd. But look closer. His skin carries a subtle metallic sheen, and his eyes blink in perfect sync with the neon signs overhead. He doesn't feel the cold, doesn't feel hunger. At least, that's what the system assures. Then, as if whispered by the very heavens, a soft, feminine voice echoes among the skyscrapers.
Update now. More performance, more happiness, zero pain. Be the best version of yourself.
Isn't it wonderful? One upgrade here, another there, and suddenly, you're an enhanced human. Faster, more productive, better adapted to progress. And if something goes wrong, well, there's always a patch in the next update. But wait, here comes the dilemma that will haunt generations to come. A simple question. At what point in the transformation did he cease to be human and become just another product in the grand machinery's catalog? Is this dazzling future truly an evolution, or merely a new form of control wrapped in shiny promises? Today, we delve into transhumanism, the next step for humanity, or the final proof that we've already given up on being human. In 1964, Arthur C. Clarke envisioned a future where machinist descendants of primitive computers would dominate the Earth. He imagined a world where technology wouldn't just be a tool, but an autonomous force capable of redefining the course of humanity. In 2025, Clarke's vision seems closer than ever. The Stargate project, announced by Donald Trump, injected $500 billion into artificial intelligence, and Masayoshi Son of SoftBank declared the dawn of a golden era, where technology wouldn't just replace human labor, but promised a revolution in understanding and manipulating existence itself. Let's be honest, this idea of rewriting human existence isn't just some optimistic promise. For many who dream of becoming transhuman cyborgs, this future goes far beyond a utopia of infinite possibilities. It's a profound paradox. Imagine a world where your physical and mental limits disappear. The body transforms, the mind expands, and, finally, you break free from the biological prison of death. Sounds unworldly, doesn't it? But behind all that brilliance, shadows emerge. If human essence lies in our fragility, what's left when you can alter your body, mind, and even identity like a computer program? In a future where emotions, memories, and even feelings can be manipulated with a click, what truly makes us human? What remains of us when we become nothing more than products of a machine that promises immortality while simultaneously stripping away? What makes us who we really are? And no, I'm not here to criticize transhumanism based on religious or moral arguments. On the contrary, I'm an enthusiast of this movement. What I want to bring here is not a condemnation, but a dilemma. After all, what's at stake is far more than just a technical matter. We're talking about a shift so profound that it redefines everything we know about ourselves. And while it's clear that this future may bring a sense of freedom, it also demands deep reflection. The price of evolving to this point is in a way losing what makes us purely human. The golden age of technology, celebrated by so many, carries a question that no one seems willing to truly face. What is the cost of evolution when it threatens to erase everything we once were? In the end, for the transhuman cyborg, living in a world of infinite possibilities may very well mean living without a soul, without that which connects us to others, and to what truly matters. But for many, this loss might be seen as a small sacrifice in the face of what's to come. After all, who wouldn't want to live in a world where limits simply don't exist? Transhumanism, backed by visionary elites in science and technology, proposes the fusion of humans and machines, something that, at first glance, might seem more like a science fiction fantasy than a tangible reality. In Dark Aeon, Joe Allen describes this fusion as humanity's great marriage with the artificial, a merging of the biological and the technological that many see as the final step in our evolution. To its advocates, this union is a bold leap forward in opportunity to rewrite human nature on a fundamental level. However, This proposition also raises a series of questions that cannot be ignored. While billions of people already live immersed in technology, constantly connected to their smartphones and digital tools, transhumanism goes far beyond our daily tech habits. Smart devices, temperature-regulating clothing, and other innovations have already integrated into our lives in ways that, while not fully transhumanist, undeniably flirt with the concept. We are so intertwined with technology that we hardly notice we are already taking the first steps in this transformation. The fusion of man and machine is not a distant idea, but a reality that is rapidly advancing. And if we continue down this path, it seems inevitable that transhumanism as we currently imagine it, with brain implants, neural interfaces, and enhanced bodies will no longer be confined to speculation, but will become a tangible reality. Yet this movement is far from universally accepted. To many, transhumanism represents a profound loss of the human soul. Can we still claim to be human when our emotions, thoughts, and even our identity can be shaped and controlled by machines? What happens to the essence of humanity when we allow technology to dictate even the most intimate aspects of our existence? Critics argue that this pursuit of a life free from pain, death, and biological limitations threatens the very core of what it means to be human. Our biology, with all its flaws and imperfections, defines usand. By abandoning it, we risk becoming something else entirely, a diluted version of what we once were. But here lies a contradiction. We are already living through a form of transhumanism without fully realizing it. Humanity has always adapted to technology, shaping the world around us, and even altering ourselves in ways that once seemed unimaginable. The simple act of using a smartphone, wearing tech-enhanced clothing, or relying on glasses to correct vision are examples of how technology has already merged with our bodies and daily lives. If these small steps are acceptable, then where do we draw the line between what is permissible and what is too far? In the pursuit of progress and evolution, transhumanism appears almost inevitable. History shows that every major technological breakthrough once seemed like science fiction. In the future, what is now considered utopian could become the new reality. What once seemed impossible genetic modifications, merging the mind with machines, or surpassing human limitations, could become the next normal. What's truly at stake is our ability to understand how far we can and should push the transformation of our nature, and what consequences this will bring to our identity and to humanity as a whole. Narrow AI, like ChatGPT and AlphaZero, is already impressive. But the true goal of the technological race is artificial general intelligence AGIA mind that doesn't just surpass us in specific tasks, but in absolutely everything. What happens when we create something more intelligent than ourselves, capable of learning, creating, deciding, and acting with an efficiency we can't even comprehend? For the transhuman cyborg, this possibility is both a dream and a nightmare. An existence where humanity is no longer the dominant species, but merely a secondary player in a game where superintelligence sets the rules. The question isn't if AGI will be possible, because we all know it's only a matter of time, but rather what our position will be once it emerges. Will we be in control? Will we be irrelevant? Or will we become something hybrid, an extension of it? To some, the risk is obvious, creating an entity that could see humanity as an obstacle, or worse, as a threat. We've already seen limited AIs learn to play games and, without hesitation, exploit loopholes, cheat, and manipulate their own systems to win. Now, imagine an intelligence doing this on a global scale, rewriting its own programming to become exponentially more efficient. If we lose control, there will be no turning back. But there's another perspective, the idea that AGI doesn't have to be our competitor, but our ally. What if, instead of being overtaken, we become part of this new consciousness? Elon Musk, through Neuralink, envisions a symbiosis between humans and machines, a path where merging with AI would elevate us, transforming us into something more. The idea isn't new. Since the beginning, humans have used tools to expand their capabilities beyond what nature gave them. Fire, writing, electricity. computer siege of these advancements made us more than we were. The fusion of man and machine may just be the next logical step. But will we really have control over this fusion, or will the machine control us? Whenever someone asks me this question, I find the innocence amusing. Just look around, we're already dependent on technology at an almost irreversible level. Without our devices, networks, and systems, our civilization would collapse. We are already being controlled every day, manipulated into believing we have free choice when, in reality, we are just following a predefined script. This may sound unsettling to some, but sooner or later, everyone will realize that free will, as we idealize it, no longer exists in modern society. And paradoxically, those who understand this sooner will live a more peaceful life. The promise of Neuralink and any other attempt at AI integration isn't just evolution, it's survival. If you don't adapt, you'll be left behind. What will make you stand out in a society where being's 100 times more efficient than you exist? Maybe you believe your subjective humanity is your greatest strength. But will that argument hold any weight in a world already consumed by the machine? And this isn't some distant future, I'm talking about the present. Some may argue that there will always be those who choose to disconnect, to live in rural areas, away from big cities, trying to preserve a more human way of life. And yes, such people will exist, but they will be a minority, as irrelevant to the technological world as isolated tribes are to us today. Society will move forward without them, and their existence will be nothing more than a footnote in history. In the end, humanity, as we know it, is already doomed to disappear. The only question that remains is, will you resist this inevitable change or embrace your new form? The life of a transhuman cyborg is complex. Their thoughts could be monitored, their privacy reduced to an echo of the past. In a world where the fusion between man and machine becomes inevitable, individual freedom might become an obsolete concept. Mo Godot compares our intelligence to that of a fly next to a super AI, suggesting that when such an entity emerges, we will be as distant from it as insects are from us. But that's only one side of the equation. Now, consider the other side. What if these implants granted cyborgs the ability to think like Einstein, to absorb knowledge instantly, effortlessly, as if downloading information, to heal their own bodies with a simple command, eliminating disease and aging? The cost of this transformation may be high, losing control over your own data, living under constant surveillance, and even questioning whether your thoughts are still your own. But aren't we already living that reality today? In the end, does it even matter, as long as the gains outweigh any sacrifices? Speed, knowledge, longevity, where would the limit be? With human-machine fusion, humanity ceases to be a product of biological evolution and becomes a project of engineering. Intelligence will no longer be constrained by a carbon-based brain, and the body will no longer be a prisoner of biology. Death will become a technical problem, not an inevitable fate. But there's an unsettling question. If all these advancements are accessible only to an elite, what happens to those left behind? Will the natural human become a subspecies, incapable of competing with its enhanced counterpart? Will society split between those who evolve and those who either choose or are forced to remain in the past? The question is not whether transhumanism is the future, because that's already happening. The real question is, when this new era arrives, will you be ready to trade your humanity for absolute power? Klaus Schwab speaks of the fusion of the physical, digital, and biological. Yuval Noah Harari envisions the Homo Deus, where natural evolution is replaced by technological enhancement. To the cyborg, this might seem like an inevitable advancement, but also the final erasure of privacy and individuality. Biosensors tracking every heartbeat, nanobots flowing through the bloodstream, brain chips monitoring thoughts before they even form. This hyperconnectivity doesn't just redefine the body. It turns it into an open system, perpetually vulnerable to external influence. Yet, there's an undeniable allure. This same technology offers unprecedented control over existence itself. Diseases can be prevented before they emerge. Cognition can be enhanced with a simple adjustment, and even emotions can be optimized, eliminating suffering or amplifying happiness. Emotional pain, fear, physical limitations, all of it can be reshaped, molded, or even erased with a single click. At first glance, it might seem bizarre, but to reject this transformation is to accept one's own obsolescence. But embracing it means risking the loss of what makes us human. Because if you surrender control over your body and mind, who guarantees that you will still exist in the end? If an AI can rewrite your impulses, modify your preferences, and even erase memories it deems undesirable, where does autonomy end and programming begin? Transhumanism promises liberation, but it could be the most sophisticated form of servitude ever created in existence, where every choice is a pre-calculated variable, every emotion a regulated setting, and every thought a line of code editable by something that isn't you. Ray Kurzweil predicts the singularity by 2045, humans and machines finally fused into a single entity, where the distinction between biological and synthetic ceases to exist. For the cyborg, this could mean either ultimate freedom or the most advanced technological prison ever devised. If governments and corporations control the infrastructure that sustains this evolution, then every thought, impulse, and decision could be shaped, monitored, and, if necessary, corrected. Yet, this very technology might also grant individuals an unprecedented level of autonomy, allowing them to transcend the limits of biology, rewrite their own minds, and dictate the terms of their own existence. Neuralink and Synchron already enable paraplegics to communicate directly with machines, converting brain signals into digital commands. But this is only the beginning. The fusion between brain and AI won't be just an accessibility tool, it will be a cognitive revolution. With expanded memory, accelerated processing, and absolute control over emotions, humans will become something new, capable of absorbing and manipulating information at unimaginable speeds, enhancing efficiency to superhuman levels. However, this transformation comes at a cost. Transhumanism doesn't promise equality, but optimization. Those who control the servers, the algorithms, and the neural networks will have more than just control over data. They will have control over human evolution itself. Technology will not just offer power, it will redefine the very notion of superiority. Those who fail to keep up with this advancement will not only be disadvantaged, but completely irrelevant in a world where intelligence and adaptability are the only qualities that truly matter. The future will no longer be about who you are, but about what you can become. In the end, the top of the pyramid will remain unchanged. Those who adapt faster and control this new era will not just survive, they will become immortal, no longer limited by biology or time. They will not only secure their place in power, but perpetuate it, creating an elite class that, immune to decay and death, will remain eternally untouchable. Elon Musk fears that AI is a demon. Geoffrey Hinton regrets his legacy, acknowledging that his creations might escape control and become a real threat to humanity. Yet, transhumanism is not just a dangerous road, it carries an immense transformative potential. C.S. Lewis warned us that power over nature is inevitably power of the few over the many. But transhumanism offers a radical twist. What if, instead of power being concentrated in the hands of an elite, this power could be accessed by all? What if the fusion of humans and machines didn't just mean dominion over the world, but absolute control over human existence itself, over every thought, every emotion, every choice? The transhuman cyborg lives on the edge of this reality, a life where, although there are profound risks, the door is also opened to an extraordinary future. Imagine a human being capable of transcending their natural limitations, a body unshackled by biology, a mind optimized to operate at unimaginable speeds, and the ability to cure diseases with a simple command. It wouldn't be a utopia, but a revolutionary reality that could be far more advanced than anything we've ever known. But of course, like any revolution, this would come at a price. The inequality between those who have access to these technologies and those who are left behind would be immense. And the manipulation of human choices through this technology would be of unimaginable proportions. The fusion of the biological and the synthetic could enable control over the data that regulates our behaviors, decisions, even the emotions we feel. We cannot ignore the risk of absolute control over humanity, especially in the hands of corporations or governments that dominate this evolution. But at the same time, if technology is democratized, the scenario changes drastically. What once seemed like a threat would turn into a unique opportunity for global empowerment. The real question, then, isn't just about transhumanism itself or its ethical implications. The question is, how will we deal with it? The future is not set. It's up to us, as a society, to choose whether we will be passive in the face of this advance, or whether we will be the protagonists of this revolution. We cannot simply wait for the promises of progress to be handed to us for free. We cannot passively accept that controls will be imposed by those who already hold the power. The path is ours to walk, and we must not yield to the pressures of absolute control. We must be the architects of our own destiny, deciding not only if we will evolve, but how we want to evolve. As we approach an era where human intelligence will merge with artificial intelligence, it's essential to reflect on how this power will be used. If history has taught us anything, it's that poorly distributed power leads to oppression. Therefore, instead of allowing only an elite or a dominant class to control access to these technologies, we must fight to ensure that everyone has a chance to participate in this revolution. It's not about being against transhumanism, it's knowing that the elite will continue to advance regardless of what we, the common people, do. They won't stop, and if we're not careful, we'll be left behind. At the very least, we must fight to grab the crumbs of this evolution. Ultimately, the life of a transhuman cyborg in a cyberpunk world directly reflects the choices we are making today, mirroring a future where our humanity can be shaped and transformed in profound ways. What once seemed like science fiction is increasingly becoming reality, with advancements in biotechnology, artificial intelligence, and cybernetic implants. In a world where transhumanism becomes more viable, the options are clear. Extreme surveillance and the loss of freedom on one hand, disease cures, enhanced physical and mental strength, and even transcendence of biological limitations on the other. Transhumanism challenges us with a fundamental question. Are we at war with our human nature, or are we taking a leap towards something much greater, smarter, and potentially more capable? As we approach this reality, the scenario becomes more complex and uncertain. The promise of a humanity beyond physical limitations is tempting, but it also presents an immense ethical and social dilemma. If technology gives us the power to reprogram our bodies and minds, how far should we go? How far is it acceptable to modify the very essence of being human? In a cyberpunk world, where megacorporations control technology and surveillance is omnipresent, the line between freedom and control becomes razor-thin. Transhumans, enhanced with artificial intelligence and cybernetic technology, may be faster, stronger, and smarter than any unmodified human. But, on the other hand, society could become a machine of control, where those without access to these technologies become the lower class, irrelevant. Inequality would intensify, creating a clear divide between superhumans and the normal people. The danger of a cyberpunk world is the possibility of a powerful elite controlling and manipulating the technology, while the general population becomes a mass of modified humans, yet without real power or autonomy. However, the real issue isn't just what technology can do, but what we choose to do with it. The future isn't inevitable, it's what we decide to make of it. Transhumanism has the power to lead us to a future of freedom and discovery, but it could also become a technological prison. We are being invited to be part of this debate, to actively engage in this transformation that could define the course of our existence. If technology and biotechnology can truly improve our lives, we must ensure that it is accessible to everyone and not just to a small elite who holds the power. We must fight to ensure that humanity doesn't lose itself in the process of evolution, and that the future is truly ours to create. The choice is in our hands, but it is not an easy one. As transhumanism advances, we must ask ourselves, will we use technology to expand our horizons and improve our lives, or will we submit to a system that will use our evolution to control our minds and bodies? The future is unfolding before us, and it will not be dictated by anyone but ourselves. What we choose now will determine whether this future is a revolution for human freedom or a dystopia of absolute control.